Welcome back. The week you missed. It was a week we could have definitely missed. Shit is getting crazy. I've been saying it all year that this is going to be a wild year, and I feel like, unfortunately, my predictions are kind of coming true. Shit is getting wild. Todd, how are you? What's new? What do you have to talk about?
I'm doing good, and I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to talk about, so I'm going to take a
Uh,
different path. So you heard about, did you hear about all this shit popping off in Chicago last weekend?
I've
With
heard a few things about Chicago, so let me hear that.
the like
Serial
group,
killer?
no, the group of like crazy teenagers that like flooded downtown and were running around breaking shit and doing all this. And the
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
thing is, it happened in Chicago, I think, last week, and I believe like 2 weeks ago there was a bunch of kids running around Center City doing the same thing, just busting stuff up, running around, breaking things, just like causing problems, getting in fights. Did you hear about that in Philly?
Yeah. I did hear it in Philly, and I did hear about that one in Chicago also. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah, no, and I think it's like, I don't know, man. It's just like, well, and it's funny because the new mayor elect of Chicago, he was someone who was like about that defund police, BS when he was like in his past, and then once he started running for mayor, he's like, well, I don't actually mean defund the police and da 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 and all this, and like he came out and made a statement that was basically like, while I condemn what these kids did, you know, basically we shouldn't be demonizing them because they're just, responding to the fact that they live in like underserved communities and like lack opportunity and all the, and, basically sort of creating excuses around like, well, come on. I mean, can we really hold these people accountable? And it's like, I feel like it's one of those things. I think Ronald Reagan said it or someone did. It was like the soft bigotry of low expectations, where it's like when someone does something wild and it's like, oh, well, I mean, we shouldn't expect anything more of them because, you know, and
Right.
it's like, come on, man. Like, can we at least just be like, no, these kids are idiots. They're assholes, and we should be arresting some of them or at least holding the parents accountable. And like, I'm not saying throw them in jail, but like, and this is what I
Do
don't get.
something. Do something.
Well, it's like I like you look at a city like Chicago, you look at it, and I always thought this when I lived in Philly, and Philly is like a notoriously dirty city, especially when you get outside of like the main nice neighborhoods. Like Point Breeze, there's trash everywhere. Up in like North Philly, trash everywhere. And it's
Everywhere.
like I feel like these kids, it's like don't give them a criminal record, don't send them to jail, don't even give them like basically be like you have 200 hours of picking up trash. You will do 3 hours a day. You will be on supervised crews, and
You
you
know
will.
why they're not doing that, right? Or why they
No,
can't
I
do that.
don't. Why? It seems
That
obvious.
that'll be slavery.
Well, then fuck. I don't know. Then throw them in jail.
Yeah.
I
The
don't like.
I'm just saying that's what the optics will say. They'll be like, "Oh, you guys are just rounding up kids and making them into like slaves for labor or whatever." I I agree with you. Something needs to be done. It's insane, and I feel like the weather's starting to get nicer, and
I mean,
I
yeah,
feel
you got
like,
all those. You got the bike crews rolling through Philly now.
yeah, dude, it's been happening every day that it's warm, and you can tell that this. I feel like this summer is going to be wilder than any summer before, and there's nothing that's done to the bikers. There's nothing that's done
Oh,
to these large group of kids, and it's like, hey, we don't need to prosecute them all and throw them all in jail, but we need to figure out something because it's literally reckless right now. And it's like it's happening in Chicago, it's happening in Philly, it's also happening just like in small towns. I just saw a TikTok video of like a group of kids who went to a girl's house and like punched the girl and took her hoverboard or tried to take her hoverboard. And it's like there's just a lot of people not knowing how to behave, not knowing how to act, and they're being reckless. And there's
yeah.
no accountability. Uh, I don't know
Well, and
what the answer
it's
is. So like I like the idea of like trying to have them clean it up, but I don't think that's going to happen. Do you have any other ideas of like how we could fix this, or what do you think? Do you think it's
I
going to get
mean,
better? Or
look,
you think it's going to get worse?
here's the thing. I think if I don't know like the timeline on which this will happen, but I think it is inevitable that if stuff like this continues to happen and if the citizenry at large doesn't see the government doing anything to actually try to stop it or enforce it, you're inevitably going to get citizens taking things into their own hands. And look, you've already seen it in, I think
What?
there's two examples. I believe in Society Hill, and I believe also around Temple. You had instances of citizens paying for private security patrols of their neighborhoods because it's like the cops
Yep.
aren't doing anything. And I believe
Yep.
in Temple, it was like a group of parents that basically paid for private security to like walk around the neighborhoods where their kids live. And in Society, I think it was Society Hill, basically was like they hired private security to sort of patrol there around their areas. And like,
Right.
and I think, I don't, do you know the story of Bernie Getz in New York?
Remind me of it.
So this was, I think, in like 1984, and it was this guy Bernie Getz. It was a white dude, I believe, riding the subway, and this is when like New York was, like right now everyone's like New York's a dangerous hellhole, and like yeah, crime
No,
going up a
the
little bit, but like
80s
in
is dangerous.
'84, like it
Yeah.
was legit, like
Yeah.
legit
Right.
dangerous. And basically he was getting, I believe the story goes, I might not have all the facts right. He was getting harassed on like a subway by like 4 or 5 like teenagers, and he whipped out a gun and shot a bunch of them. He didn't kill anyone, but he basically just stood up and was like, he didn't plea out. He took the charges. He was charged with, I believe, like attempted murder, assault, and possession of a weapon, like illegally. And the only charge he was found guilty of was the possession of a weapon, because the jury was basically like, you know what? No, like we are sick of this. And
Yeah.
so like, fine. Yes, you're correct. He did do this, but he was getting harassed. It was leading to probably a possible assault. So this guy had a right to shoot those people, shoot those kids. And
Well,
like, I don't
this is
know,
a
man. Like the government needs to step up, because otherwise we're gonna have deranged citizens doing their own shit. Like all those people in South Philly that were like defending the target with AR-15s and patrolling the streets. Like we're 2 seconds away from those people shooting a bunch of people.
so
And the
this
thing is,
seems
it's
like
like it's
a
not going to be
great
surprising.
segue into what I was thinking about for this week, or what I was probably going to talk about. I feel like um, there's going to be more and more examples of this as time goes on, because the news seems to be focusing on it right now. But
Yep.
in the last week, there was a black kid in, I'm blanking on where it was. I think maybe Tennessee,
No, it was Kansas, I believe.
Kansas, who went to the wrong home to pick up his brother or friends or whatever, and then got shot and killed.
Yep.
But then there's
Terrible.
another instance in New York of a white girl going into the wrong driveway and someone coming out and shooting and killing her. And then there's another instance of, I think, these black cheerleaders in Texas um, going into the wrong car in a parking lot and got shot and killed. And to me, that just seems like the connection. It seems like a very clear connection that like things are getting crazy and people are going to start taking things into their own hands,
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily good.
No, and
Because
there was, and I don't know where it was in North Carolina, but I know it was in North Carolina. There was an instance where a girl who was 6 years old, and I believe her two parents were playing outside in their front yard. Their basketball rolled. At least this is the story we have as of now. A basketball rolled into basically one of their neighbor's yards, and the neighbor came out shooting and shot all three of them. And I don't think any of them died. I think they're going to make it, but it's like, it's crazy. And I think, my wife and I were talking about it this morning, and I've probably mentioned this when we've talked, but I think that for the past 3 years of COVID and everything, like we've been in like a mental health pressure cooker. And I think we're seeing all the dividends of everything happening. Like,
yeah,
people were isolated from each other. People forgot how to socialize. People forgot that, hey, if you get in an argument with someone, you don't have to call them a Nazi. You don't have to shoot them in the face. You don't have to punch them. Like, and I, unfortunately, I think we're going to see more, not less of this. And I think it's not good. And like, I don't know what the answer is. Because you know what? Like, I think we could have better gun control measures and do some stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But the fact of the matter is that genie's sort of out of the bottle, and like the guns are
yeah,
already out there. So I
yeah. I
think
don't think gun control. I don't think gun control is the argument right now. I hate to be that person, but like I don't think we need to argue about guns. It's guns are here. We can argue about that another day, but like the problems aren't just guns. It's I think it's a mental health crisis
well,
personally.
it's 100% a mental health crisis, and I think
And
even everyone agrees on that, but
and
no
then
one wants to do
also
anything about it.
I said something, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I said something recently. I think I was driving and I saw an old person drive and they were horrible at driving. And it's like, why does an old person, why me actually? I've gone insane 5 times since I turned 18. I've had like surgery, I've had physical ailments, all this stuff going on to my body, and I'm still allowed to drive a car, 1,000-pound vehicle that can kill a bunch of people, no problem. Why don't I have to go back to get my driver's license and make sure I can still parallel park, make sure I'm still sane, make sure like I still like know what's going on, whatever, like check up on me. I feel like having a license every 5 years to go back and just check up on me, make sure my eyesight is still there, make sure I still can like move my arms, make sure that I'm still not a violent person, whatever, to get my license. The same could be said for guns as well. It's like, why don't we just have like some measures to check up on people who are holding all of these things? That's like the weird thing to me. I got a lot of thoughts in my head because I also recently saw the Boston Marathon bomber on Netflix. Did you watch that?
No.
It's really well made. I hate to say
Is that
that
the one
about,
that's called, it's called like American Manhunt or
yeah,
something? Like,
really well made. But and that brought a lot of thoughts to me as well. But I'm curious, like, if we got rid of guns, there's people who can make bombs, like, and that bomb injured 240 people or whatever.
yeah, a pressure cooker.
A
A pressure
pressure
cooker
cooker,
bomb.
easy to get. And it's like, to me, a gun is bad because a person can get a gun really quickly and make a dumb decision. But if a person and like, and then they do it, and a lot of times maybe like tomorrow they won't do that same thing if it
Yeah.
wasn't so easy. And making a bomb, there's more intent. You have to really like know what you're doing and really be like, this is what I'm doing. But you can still damage a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. So like, I'm not saying I'm all for guns, but I don't think guns is the thing that we need to focus and like get angry about. It's like we need to just make sure everyone's chill, and like no one is chill right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I think the fact of the matter is it's like, and especially, and now I think in this case, in these most recent cases, these shootings have been just insane because it just seems like people that were just like,
Just popping off.
just completely just like hit a tipping point and just blew up literally. And like, I just think that it's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Because like in the case of, some of the mass shooters we see, the thing is, it almost always comes out like this person was on the radar of law enforcement. This person was like,
Right.
aware to law enforcement. And it's like, well, how about we start doing something? Let's become aware of these people. Like, I
Yeah.
don't, again, I don't know what it is. Because look, we have to balance the fact that we can't we can't proactively take away someone's rights when they actually haven't committed a crime. But at the same time, like, I have no problem if someone starts making violent threats to be like, you know what, we're going to take your guns for like a year, maybe see
Yeah.
how this works out, and then maybe give them back to you.
Wouldn't be the worst thing.
Like, so I don't know. Like, it's I just I don't know what the answer is. But I think the most disappointing thing is that you have two sides on this issue that aren't going to budge. And in Tennessee recently there was obviously that terrible shooting at that school that killed six.
There's been
And
so many shootings I can't even keep track
well,
anymore.
and it's crazy because everyone, there was obviously the controversy about the members who were expelled for protesting on the House floor in
Mhm.
Tennessee and all that. And there was a bill proposed that basically it didn't do anything with gun control, but it basically said we're going to throw a ton of money at increasing security at schools. Now, you would think that that would be a bill everyone would vote for, right? Like
Right.
and four people voted against it, and I'm pretty sure they were Democrats. And it's like, well, if we can't have our thing, then we're not going to vote for your thing. And it's like, you know what? Like, take what you can get. Like,
Yeah.
politics has always been the art of what is possible.
Right.
And that often it used to mean that Republicans and Democrats would come together and negotiate and come to a compromise solution somewhere in the middle. But now all you have is like you have these states, or it's only the only time anything actually moves forward is when you have almost super majorities in the houses or the Senate, and you've got, you know, the executive who's going to sign it to push anything forward. And it's like, I know for certain that as long as people keep looking at these issues in this way and keep taking this approach, there's nothing significant or nothing major is going to change. So it's disappointing, but it's not surprising, and it makes me sick. And I hate all these politicians.
So have you been loading up on ammo?
No, no,
Have you been practicing at the range?
no. It's actually been a while since I've been to the range, but I think I'm maybe go this weekend. We'll see.
I
But
feel like I have the same a similar feeling to what I had in May 2020 during the George Floyd of like I'm against guns. I don't really like I'm not against people having them. If you want them, cool, whatever.
yeah,
But I personally don't like them. They scare me. They more bad seems to come than good. But 2020 May, I thought about purchasing one, and I think right now it's definitely on my radar again, just because like it is wild out there, and I don't trust anyone to help you right now. So it's like,
yeah.
in some circumstances, it's pretty scary. Like if X, if if a group of people came to my house and robbed me, I don't know what I would do because the police aren't going to come for at least an hour, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't have a gun right now. That's pretty scary.
You should just
My
hire like an ex-Mossad agent to move in with you. Some guy named like Ari or Avi, who's like,
yeah.
you know, 6'4", just like
Um,
big beard.
I like to like I'll just run and like not fight, but at a certain point that might not be an option, and it's like it feels a little better maybe to have a gun because of how crazy it is outside. But that doesn't seem like the answer either. I don't know.
Look, if people broke into my house and I had zero ways of defending myself, I would probably just run out of the property. Like I would just
Yeah, I just sprint.
like I would probably scream and be like, I'll leave, take whatever you want, and like
Yeah.
just don't touch me. Like,
Yeah.
and then
Or
run
if
2 blocks.
you want to touch me, just be gentle.
Yeah, just don't hurt me. But yeah, man, no, it's crazy. And you know, I think it's I don't know. It's distressing just because it's just upsetting because it's so obvious that like there's no serious momentum on anything to actually try to solve this. And look, I
Yeah,
do think that like I do think there's an element of saying like, you know, I'm not going to say that things are directly related, but when you have these incidents in Philly and Chicago, there's one in Baltimore of like, you know, hundreds, maybe even thousands of kids running through the streets, just demolishing stuff and making chaos and beating people up. And it's like, and nothing happens. That sends a message that there are no rules.
yeah,
And when
exactly.
people don't think there are rules,
It,
they break more rules. Like I
yeah,
don't like this is basic sociology, criminology. Like if there is no fear of any punishment, you get more crime. Like
yeah,
that's not to say that locking people up for 10 years is going to prevent crime, but
exactly.
it's like having absolutely zero, like honestly, like they should throw these kids, they should put them in like embarrassing pink shirts that say like I vandalized our city, and then make them go around and like wash windows and pick up trash and like just do, I don't know, do
Yeah,
something, like make them, get them involved in the community, make them have to clean up the mess. Like, and look, I'm not saying every single kid who was downtown or running around should face that punishment, but like if you document kids that are like throwing bricks through windows or stomping on cars or beating people up, like the kids that are actually doing violence and vandalism, they should face consequences. And like I
yeah,
hope that's not a controversial statement, but
yeah.
like
No, I completely agree, and it's surprising that there's is there anything on the table? It doesn't seem like there is. I feel like, and I kind of like what I think you alluded to, or at least made me think, is that I feel like we're stuck in it's either this or that, and it's like no, we can't just say guns or no guns. We have to come up with like some unique ideas, or like we can't just say like lock the kids up or don't lock the kids up. It's like
yeah,
maybe let's put these kids in a camp to do XYZ. I don't know. I'm thinking off the top of my head, but like let's think of something unique that's different. That's not the old status quo. That's not X or Y and like something completely different, but we need we need to be creative, and we need to do something that works for everyone, because arguing left and right is just gonna lead us to where we are, which is
Yeah.
further
Well, look,
divided.
and the thing that I definitely don't want, like, I do not want these kids who got in dumb fights or vandalized cars, like, I don't want their lives ruined by serious charges that make it so that they have no possibility of becoming like a regular member of society. I did dumb shit as a teenager. I vandalized stuff as a teenager. Like, I don't support these kids having like felony charges for doing this, but there needs to be some level of consequence,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't we do this? It's the way that they are having fun, I guess. And if there's no repercussions to it, why would they not do it again? I don't know. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yep, it's so I'm gonna end my little bit. Maybe you have something with this
No?
though, of why I'm so passionate. This is a little bit of a tangent, but why I'm so
Okay.
passionate, and I'm speaking in August at MycoFest, and I'll be alluding to this a little bit actually, that I think psilocybin mushrooms are gonna be very key, instrumental in a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
One, I think psilocybin mushrooms will help people just change their mindset and accept this new paradigm that we need, because like we can't go to the old way that things were. They're just,
Yeah.
it's not working. We need a whole mindset shift. And in order to do that, I think mushrooms are going to be very helpful for people. I also think though that just people doing mushrooms individually is going to help them with their mental health issues. And like I know it seems hippy dippy, but like the more people who eat mushrooms, the more the mycelium connects us all. We realize that we're all one, and like your problem is my problem, and the
Yeah.
problem outside is still my problem, and we can't just ignore it. We need to like fix it, and fixing it is like caring about them. And it's like, as much as I hate the kids ransacking my neighborhoods when they do it and going on the ATVs, the best way forward is to help them, make them like feel valuable and have purpose, and then they're not going to be taking energy from other people for no reason.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Completely agree.
and I really think mushrooms are going to be very pivotal in making that shift happen.
Look, I think at this point, I am open to ideas, and
Yeah,
if we could make it rain mushrooms on people and just be like, eat this, like,
I'm on my way. I'm
I would,
trying.
I would not be against trying that. I certainly would not stop anyone,
Yeah,
but
it's funny because that sounds wild to a lot of people. Like, yo, you're gonna give mushrooms to a bunch of people? Like that sounds horrific. Yo, the chemicals that are in your soda are horrific, or the
yeah,
chemicals that are in like a lot of the foods you're eating, the processed food, whatever, that's horrific. And it's like it's the same thing. It's just you see one a little bit more clearly than the other, but one is, it's affecting you still, and they're pumping shit into you regardless. So like, why not pump something that could help us? I don't know.
yeah, no, absolutely. But look, I'm up for it. If you can make it happen, do it. Like,
I'm
at
on
this,
my way. Well, that was a great week we missed. I hope I'm wrong, but it seems like this summer is gonna be absolutely insane.
I hope you are wrong. I really hope you are,
But
but
do you think I'm right?
I fear you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. I don't know.
All right,
So,
well, have a great week. Stay safe.
yes, best
Keep
of luck.
the strap on your hip. Go to practice your shooting every week. Make sure you're
No.
ready. All right. Later.